All right, Chad, it is round 5. As you can go and see at the top there, we answer all of your money, finance, and investing questions. So yeah, I know there is one in the chat already. Mr. IJK multiple times, 12. What WTF is up with semis? How much more pain is there ahead? How much more pain from here? Danny, do you have any direct opinion on semiconductors?
Can you, what did you say?
Semiconductors, like chip stocks, AMD, Intel.
Is this the whole, like, Apple thing doing their own thing?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Is there any other developments that I should be aware of before?
Other than just trade war triggers some of the back and forth because of supply chains.
Okay. You know, why don't you go ahead on this one, and then
I'll go and answer the back. Yeah.
I have something to add. Yeah.
I want to go and say the two biggest factors that you have right here for semiconductors, at least AMD had a crazy move into the close because someone looked like they... Oh, Kawa, Luke, my dude. Awesome, dude. Thank you for joining. Semiconductors, it always comes down to supply chain, and probably I think the Apple thing has a little bit to do with it because they use predominantly AMD for their processors. GPUs, I forget. Back when I was super involved with AMD, I could have told you that. Another big thing is, of course, supply chain. So whenever you have the China tariffs, the kind of trade war bubbles up, that is always huge because of the supply chains with all the fab locations being over in China. Of course, you know, TMC and all that stuff like that. Carpenter. I'll also go and say AMD has like tripled in the past year. Had a big seller today into the close for AMD, which moved their stock dramatically. But I love playing semis. One, they're kind of a cyclical name in the fact that you can go and chart out. My favorite thing to go and chart out was their gross margins and their revenues. You can kind of forward track how things are looking along with NAND and DRAM purchases because you can go and tell how much inventory they're adding, how much the sales are, and all that stuff like that. So you can go and chart that out. I want to go and say it's probably right now a main factor is trade war concerns and a little bit of the valuation concerns, especially if you have these bigger companies like Apple going and doing their own fabs. That's huge. I mean, I don't think Apple is doing it all in the States. They're probably going out to TSMC and being like, yeah, we want to go and just buy some fabs from you guys. I think that's probably how it's going to work out. But yeah, thanks for the question, Luke. Who, Danny, if you did not know, our boy Luke in the chat right now used to be an on-air personality markets reporter for Bloomberg.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, he's one.
Thank you for joining the chat, Luke.
And for joining the stream. Quick thoughts on Shopify? All right, yeah. And Aaron, did you notice you got that moderator thing on you now? I made you a mod because I believe in you that much. Quick thoughts on Shopify. Probably one of the best e-commerce companies out there. I think they definitely deserve their valuation. It's not a company that I've looked too deeply in. E-commerce as a whole is like a sector that I should look a little bit more into, but it's so tough because you got to get so down into like some of the retail metrics I really dislike having to go and follow. I don't know. You don't like my take on Shopify? Oof. Danny, do you have a take on Shopify?
I know very little about Shopify.
Kind of the Amazon of Canada.
The Amazon of Canada? That's hilarious. Well, if they're the Amazon of Canada, then they're probably pretty good, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Aaron, do you have a disagreement on there? Yeah. Oof.
I got a Mac 10, by the way.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Lavish asks, do you make all your money off of Twitch ads? My dude, I'm not a Twitch affiliate yet, so I can't even do ads. I have zero monetization unless you leave me a dono. Which, if you guys want to, in the About section of my channel, there is the donation page where you can go and do the donations that are specified for this channel, such as $20, I drink a beer. $1, you pick what map we do next. $5, you go and decide, hey, if we're playing B01, you want us to play B02, we'll go and do that. And then Aaron, also, the oof was for being a mod. I hate Shop because I missed the big move. Oh, a lot of us missed the big moves, dude. Trading out the Python for the HK is a bold move. I'm going to do it. So, Danny.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Danny, your question from Luke is, and I'm going to quote him here. Could do some quoting here. Wondering what Danny the Auditor thinks of the Wirecard saga. So if you guys in the chat don't know, Wirecard is a German payments company, kind of like Visa, MasterCard, and they have a missing $2 billion on their balance sheet of cash, and they're pretty much bankrupt at this point.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what the hell happened there. I read today that they just did do a bank confirmation, which is like one of the basic audit procedures that we do. They had this account in Singapore, apparently, Wirecard did, and they just didn't check to make sure that the balances were actually in it. And I'm so confused as to how that could happen, because that's like rule number one is you check to make sure that they have the cash that they say that they have. So I don't know what the hell happened.
Is it one of those, perhaps the auditor was in cahoots?
You know, I can't say I'm hesitant to say because, well, it was over in Europe, so I have very little affiliation, but it was the firm that I belong to. It was EY that was the auditor.
And that's a good.
No, I can't say.
Yeah, and that's a good disclosure to do too. That is your firm, so. Because I was about to make a comment about it.
Maybe it's a mistake, but I don't know.
I was going to make a comment about it, but from I think it was a Bloomberg article that I saw, where they said that EY just didn't ask for the financial statements, but of course, since you work there, we're getting into a world of entanglement here. So.
Yeah, but I will say it is different, like when it's a European audit versus an American audit. Because I don't know the exact situation, but I think the international firms is just kind of like an affiliation. It's not necessarily they're one in the same partnership. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But anyways, long story short, yeah, they
360 degrees of future.
Well, that's fascinating. Guys, it is still round 15, so if you guys have any more questions, please let us know. Danny, I'm going to pop off the rocket. Because I opened up the last one where I got that fire sale. I got the Commando. I'm hyped about the Commando.
Yeah.
Commando Thunder Gun combo is hot. I got a question here. Let me go and just mark down because I can't right now. 48. Q. So Luke has a question here. Bank stress test thoughts. So of course the Fed did their stress tests of the banks, and they came out with those findings and released them to the public. Danny, do you have any thoughts?
What were the conclusions?
If I recall correctly, and Luke probably knows this even better than I do because I don't really follow financials. I follow technology, media, and telecom, TMT. If I recall correctly, they went and said that banks are generally well capitalized, although they don't want banks to declare dividends or do share buybacks until September, which most banks have already cut share buybacks and I think are pretty much keeping in line with their dividends. Luke, did I get that correct? But my general thoughts are, I mean, banks are a lot more well capitalized than they were in '08. That's what the whole point of the stress tests were. And the fact that most banks immediately, when there were even the slightest hint, max ammo for you?
Sure.
Can still do divvies, but buybacks are a no-no. Yeah, I mean, the fact that most banks, when all this started, stop their share buybacks in anticipation of maybe needing the cash. It goes and tells you everything that you need to know, that they were super proactive in that. So the fact that the Fed said they can't do it isn't really a big deal. But no, I'm genuinely happy with it. I mean, it seems like all the banks are in decent shape as opposed to the last crisis. Danny, I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, I don't think I have too much to add. Oh, my question, no thanks. So when the Fed says, like, the stress, when they come up with the results of the stress test, is that, like, mandatory, like, banks are not allowed to do a share buyback, or they just prefer that they did not?
I believe it is mandatory. Luke, you can go and double check me on that. I know what it generally is if they don't make if they don't go and make the stress test, normally they have to make fixes in order to pass it. So if they're undercapitalized, they need to raise capital. Luke also has another question here for me. Lavish is back. Lavish, thank you for coming back. Luke has another question for me. Telecom debt or equity here? Equity for most of them, other than maybe AT&T. Definitely equity for most of the if you're including cable as telecom, then definitely equity. The time to pull a Skeletor capital and buy the debt was 3 months ago, when it was all super distressed. Danny, did you want to add something there?
No, I didn't exactly hear the question, actually.
Oh, it was, is telecom debt or equity a play here? So which one would you rather buy, their bonds or their stock?
To be honest, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable buying either, just because I know so little about how the industry works, and if it's that good upside, what are your...
I lean...
What are the factors that led you to make the conclusions that you made?
Normally for debt, unless it's convert, it depends on the discount they can go and get, because most of these guys have pretty low coupons unless you go and get like a private placement bond. I typically like to go and do equity. AT&T already trades like a bond because they have a 7% dividend. So,
a 10% dividend?
a 7%.
Okay, so,
Oh. Yeah, huge. In full disclosure, I do go and own some Frontier Communications debt, who is in bankruptcy. I'm pretty far up the chain there. So, yeah, I do own some telecom debt. Oh, Danny, we have another question here. And it is for both you and I, from our boy Lavish Pan. What is your favorite B01 map for both you and I? So I'll let you go first.
Lavish, for me, it's got to be Call of the Dead, honestly. I've had so many good times on that map, and I love that there's kind of like a goal beyond surviving, at least for me when I play, which is like, try to kill George and get as many perks as you possibly can. I just like that adds another dimension to the gameplay where you're trying to survive, yeah, but you're also trying to kill George and get those extra perks. And I also love the scavenger more than any other wonder weapon ever. So
more than the Thunder Gun?
More than the Thunder Gun. I just think it's so fun to have an explosive sniper rifle. That's just so cool to me.
That's
it might be the best, most effective weapon, but I just think it's the coolest.
That's a hot take there for the best wonder weapon being Scavenger in B01.
It's my favorite.
Okay. You know what, Lavish? I'll agree. I think Call of the Dead is probably the single best map on BO1 and maybe Black Ops in general. I mean, I don't know, Danny, if you have a more favorite map on Black Ops. Like, you play 2.
No, yeah, on Black Ops 2, like, maybe Mob of the Dead might be better, I'm not sure. And maybe Origins. Like, those are definitely my top 3, and it's close. I don't know. It depends, like, what mood I was in, I guess, when you asked me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for me, it's Call of the Dead easily. Easily.
Yeah. The only other one would maybe be like Moon. It's kind of close.
Moon because the Easter egg. Moon because the Easter egg is so good.
It is a really good Easter egg. I'll give you that.
Not only do you get to play as Sam, but you also blow up the Earth.
Get the permanent, and then when you go back to the Earth, and it's just like a hellscape, like on fire. When you get to go back to the Pack-a-Punch, that's really cool. But yeah, it's gotta be Call of Duty.
Agree.
But there's no, like, on Black Ops 1, there's no, like, major dub.
Oh, great question, too. From Luke. What's Danny's red flags? What gets his noggin turning? Or his best story about how someone tried to fool him with numbers and financial statements, and he questioned it.
I'm gonna have to think about that because I've only really been on one major audit. I mean, I just had my first year of busy season. What would be good? There was this one time where we received like a lease schedule to test leases, and I went through it with like kind of no experience on auditing the area, but I quickly like realized that the numbers didn't add up, and for some reason the guy that gave us the lease schedule, he like forgot to put half of them on there, so that was kind of weird.
That's good.
So we had to be like, hey, well, like why aren't these on there? And so like he came back with another lease schedule. So there you go.
There you go. But
And I'm not going to say what job that was on because you know.
of course, what gets your what like I like the like what are your red flags? Like if you're going through an audit, what are things that would jump out to you?
Well, I'll just tell you like the things that they tell us to look for because like honestly, seeing a huge red flag is very rare. The type of analysis we do is like typically just looking at fluctuations in accounts. So a lot of the times we'll just look at like changes in balances from year to year, whether it's like balance sheet accounts or income statement accounts.
Working capital too.
Stuff like that is usually. We don't really get into. Well, I guess working capital would be in balance sheet, right?
A little bit of balance sheet, a little bit of income statement, depending on the company.
Assets, current liabilities, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. That's like sort of how we deal with going into further analysis, is just by looking at red flags. And then there's also like when we do our specific what's called substantive testing, where we look at like fake journal entries that have been made, or I mean look at installments too, but it's most likely the big ones to make sure that they're legitimate. We just have our like testing attributes to make sure that like we trace or vouch are the terms we use that you know we have support for the eventual entries that are impacting the financial statement. So yeah, the red flag I guess would just be that the support doesn't justify the entry essentially.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
I have a hard time deciding on whether or not to be more vague or less vague.
No, it's all good. If you ever
Because I don't want to get too esoteric or anything, but
no, yeah, you always got to stay within the bounds.
Yeah.
But that was super interesting too, because for most of us on the finance side,
I appreciate the question.
most of us on the finance side, it's we just are given, you take the SEC financials, or when a company, reports earnings and you go and get that little web sheet, you take that as gospel. So it's very interesting to go and hear some of that on your side.
Yeah, you get to see the whole other side. Like all you strip back the facade and you see all like the wires and
Yeah.
the undercarriage, if you will.
Yeah, you can kill the crawler too if you want to.